Welcome everybody.
Hello, Prof.
Hello, Prof.
This video is dedicated to the triumph of genetics in the service of forensic police, genealogy, the history of population movements, and the confirmation of the theory of evolution. Genetics, and genetic genealogy, use DNA, which is found everywhere in the body's cells. DNA contains a unique genetic code, which corresponds to each living being. This genetic code uses a four-letter alphabet, A, T, C, G. These letters are combined in threes to form codons, which correspond to instructions for protein production. It is as if each living being is a unique book written using these four letters as an alphabet. Genetics, and genetic genealogy, are widely used today in the service of forensic police, the history of population movements on the planet, and as proof of kinship between living beings. Proven methods and examples have been reported in literature and the press. Here are 3 cases of crimes solved using DNA a long time after the facts.
The first case is a case in France. 18 years after the events, in 2013, DNA evidence linked the murder of a 10-year-old girl in Isère, Saïda Berche, killed in 1996, to her killer, Georges Pouy, who was identified, tried, and sentenced to 30 years in prison. The second case is that of the Golden State Killer, also known as East Area Rapist, an original Night Stalker. He is an American serial killer who operated in the 1970s and 1980s. His real name is Joseph DeAngelo. His crimes were committed between 1974 and 1986 in California. He broke into houses at night, attacked his victims, tied them up, and threatened them with a weapon. He committed robberies, sexual assaults, and murders. After decades of fruitless investigation, DeAngelo was arrested in 2018, thanks to a great breakthrough in genetic genealogy. Investigators compared DNA found at crime scenes to online genealogy databases, and were able to identify distant relatives of DeAngelo and then trace them back to him.
This revolutionary technique involves comparing the DNA of an unknown suspect to genealogical databases. By identifying distant relatives, investigators can trace a family tree and thus identify the suspect within that family tree. In DeAngelo's case, investigators use the GEDmatch database. It allows users to upload their DNA results for genealogical purposes, but it can also be used by forensic scientists to solve crimes. DeAngelo's arrest, which resulted in a life sentence, marked a turning point in the history of criminology. It demonstrated the potential of genetic genealogy to solve old cases and paved the way for new investigative methods. The third case is a famous criminal case that occurred in Sweden in 2004. On October 19th, in the city of Linköping, 8-year-olds Mohammed Amour and 56-year-old Anna-Lena Svensson were stabbed to death in the street. Despite significant investigative resources, the case remained unsolved for 16 years. The authorities had a DNA profile of the suspect, but no match was found in police databases. But in 2020, a decisive breakthrough was made thanks to the intervention of a genealogist who applied a method combining DNA analysis and genealogical research. This approach led to the identification of Daniel Nyquist, who was subsequently arrested and convicted.
As mentioned earlier, genetics and genetic genealogy are powerful tools used to solve crimes and convict criminals. Here's how they work. First, investigators collect biological samples, blood, saliva, hair, sperm, etc., from crime scenes, as in the cases cited above. DNA is then extracted from the collected samples. A unique genetic profile is then created for everyone from the extracted DNA. This profile is comparable to a fingerprint. Finally, the genetic profile is compared to DNA databases to identify potential matches. DNA databases are a powerful tool for forensic police and science. It uses 2 main types of DNA databases to solve criminal cases. The first is a national automated DNA profile database. It contains the DNA profiles of people who have been convicted of serious offenses, as well as people implicated in criminal cases. By comparing the DNA of the individual found at a crime scene, even very long in advance, with the profiles in the database, investigators can identify potential suspects. This is the case in the first example cited previously. This type of database also makes it possible to determine if the same person is involved in several cases.
The second type is genealogy databases. These public databases created by private companies contain the DNA profiles of people who have taken a genealogy test to trace their family tree. In some cases, as in examples 2 and 3 cited previously, they allow the identification of unknown suspects when no match is found in the first type of database. Investigators can use these genealogy databases to search for distant relatives of the suspect. Investigators build family trees from the matches found to trace the suspect. Their DNA is then taken to verify it with that found at the crime scene. Genealogy databases can help solve long unsolved cases. These methods combine the power of science and technology to help the justice system solve once unsolved mysteries.
Genetic genealogy also uses DNA to trace the history of our ancestors and population migrations through time. How does it work? DNA accumulates mutations over generations. These mutations are a bit like a molecular clock. Using these mutations, by comparing the DNA sequences of different people, geneticists can estimate the time elapsed since their last common ancestor. The results of genetic tests are compared to vast databases containing the genetic profiles of people from around the world. This makes it possible to identify genetic matches and estimate the geographic origins of our ancestors. In addition, this genetic data can help reconstruct population movements, genetic mixing, and the historical events that shaped our genetic heritage. This has helped confirm some theories about human migration, such as the exodus from Africa and the colonization of new lands. For example, genetic studies have shown that Native American populations are descended from ancient Asians who crossed the Bering Bridge, which existed several times between eastern Siberia and Alaska, thousands of years ago.
Genetics and genetic genealogy also play a crucial role in understanding the kinship between species. Whole genome sequences are analyzed to identify similarities and differences between species. Genes like each other, called homologous genes, are studied to trace evolution and common ancestry. Mutations accumulated in DNA sequences can indicate the time elapsed since species divergence. Phylogenetic trees are then constructed using this data to represent the evolutionary relationships between species. Genetic studies show that humans share a large portion of their DNA with chimpanzees and bonobos, about 98%, indicating that they share a recent common ancestor, about 5 to 7 million years ago. While macaques and humans share only about 93% of their DNA, indicating that they share a much more distant common ancestor, about 25 million years ago. The countless cases of kinship relationships between humans resolved, and criminal cases elucidated using genetics and genetic genealogy, clearly demonstrate that the results obtained, which confirm and validate the theory of species evolution, are highly reliable. Despite this, many people still do not accept our ancestral kinship with the great apes for religious or ideological reasons. Yet, they accept Earth's dust as human source material without any problem. Who is closest to humans? An animal that has the same body shape, the same organs and their functions, the same way of reproducing, plus 5 fingers, or the dust of the earth. In any case, nothing will stop progress. It is written in the genes.
Thanks for watching this video until the end, and see you soon in another topic.